A very warm welcome to Bhutan This Week, our weekly news magazine program with me, Sonam Wongdi. Our top stories. His Majesty the King confers Khada to the new Cabinet Secretary, 2 Zongdas and 2 Zimpeoms at Ditashi Chezong. Royal Civil Service Commission says there are no vacancies to reappoint the surrendered government secretaries. And Bhutan makes the biggest move in the FIFA ranking. From 209, Bhutan is now ranked at 163rd. His Majesty the King conferred Khada to the new Cabinet Secretary, 2 new Zongdas and 2 Zimpeoms at Ditashi Chezong. Her Majesty the Gyaltsin was also present during the ceremony. Government secretaries and Zongdas are appointed by His Majesty the King upon the recommendation of the Prime Minister, who receives nominations from the Royal Civil Service Commission.
Kinzang Wongde is the new Cabinet Secretary. Prior to this appointment, he served as the Secretary General of the National Assembly. The now 54-year-old Cabinet Secretary also served as Zongda for Gasa, Wongde Phodrang and Sabang Zongkaks. Sonam Rinchen was appointed as Stongsa's new Zongda. He served as the Director for the Department of Occupational Standards with the Ministry of Labour and Human Resources prior to this appointment. Doji Rajul will now serve as the new Gasa Zongda. Before assuming this post, he served as the Director for the Department of Agriculture and Marketing Cooperatives under the Ministry of Agriculture. His Majesty the King also appointed 2 Zimpeomas who were granted Kabne and Patang. Zimpeoma Kinzang Doji served as a civil servant for 18 years and resigned as the head of the Department of Disaster Management of the Ministry of Home and Cultural Affairs. He has a master's in social anthropology from Oxford University. Zimpenoma Taung Rinzin joined the civil service in 2002 and was appointed as project coordinator for the Royal Institute of Governance and Strategic Studies in 2012. He has a master's in public administration from the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy. Compiled for Sheriff Zangmo, Dikichoran Doji, PBS News.
The Royal Civil Service Commission says there are no vacancies to reappoint the surrendered government secretaries. With former Cabinet Secretary Dashopende Wangchu retiring from the civil service early this month, the Commission is yet to decide on the reassignment of former Economic Affairs Secretary Dasho Sonam Sering and the former Foreign Secretary Ishe Doji. It was in February that the Commission decided to reassign the 3 secretaries. The 3 secretaries were surrendered by the Cabinet to the Commission in December last year for taking a unilateral decision to write a letter to Government of India to resolve an issue on the allegations of corruption related to hydropower projects. The article was published by the Indian magazine called Inertia. The windstorm on 4th April affected 9 Zongkhaks and over 900 structures were damaged. It also damaged many other schools, health centers and temples. Phinsiling town was also hit by the hailstorm and strong winds. Several houses, cars and electric poles were damaged. Trees were uprooted. Tenzin Apke reports.
This was the scene in Phinsiling after the storm. It wasn't possible to go outside with our camera as the hailstone would have damaged it. After things seemed to settle down, we drove around the town to see the extent of the damage. This is what we saw. Trucks at the truck parking area were also damaged, mostly by falling branches. This was the scene at the Zangtopelri Park in the middle of town. This car was inches away from being damaged totally. Sonam Lendrup is vacating his home because it isn't livable anymore. His wife and 3 children who were with him when the storm hit last night are lucky to be alive.
아주 지가 된 맛으로 지가 된 것이 세님에 낭나벨디 내가 되면 또 여기 바보이네 맛이 다만 잡부럽지 때 낭나로 태우 뿌려 놓으면 미기 못 통라 대란이 배도 지가 된 맛으로 때 다만 더 이거는 잡사 대비도 같이나 미절이 쇼도는 미서 지가 된 줄이라 뿌려 얼로 뿌려 여인 쉐베 보조는 야 지가 기디 뿌려 태워라서 근데 이거는 등가지기 가지베는 마시고 파수비로 저도 답 많이 베티.
다리디나 치메 보조데 모슬다 가데 베니 차지 가데 비율라다 가데
다 침포디 담이나 당가지 나다 또 게임기나도 다지 다뭐 잡리 잡아진 신호베다 또 잘라 파수베 아니 베이다. 다도 침마나 인시데 보조면.
Just below is a building with the roof blown away. Falling debris caused damage to vehicles parked below. This is the roof from the building which was blown away last night. It also damaged the police office. Several roofs of the Bhutan Power Corporation colony were also damaged. Out of the 36 small housing units, most suffered minor damage. These soups and other volunteers helped in cleaning the debris around the town area. The only major injury that took place was at the Damdara area when a woman traveling in a taxi was struck on the head by a falling tree. She was rushed to the hospital and has been referred to the National Referral Hospital in Thimphu. With cameraman Tinle Doji, Tenzin Rapke, BBS News, Pinsling.
Insurance officials are currently assessing the extent of damage caused by the recent windstorm in the affected Dzongkhaks. So far, they have completed the assessment in Gedu under Chuka Dzongkhak.
Most damages, according to the Royal Insurance Corporation of Bhutan, are minor. With the assessment complete in Chuka, the insurance claims are expected to be done within this week. A total of 140 households were affected by the windstorm. The assessments for the other Dzongkhaks, the RICB says, will be complete in about 10 days. General Manager Sangye Wangdi said the office has not received the complete report from the affected Dzongkhaks. Damages in the rural areas will be covered by the rural insurance, whereas for damages in town area, it will be covered by fire insurance as long as people have taken additional cover for calamities like storm and earthquake. For damages in town area, the insurance claim will depend on the cover insurance they have taken. The damage caused by the recent windstorm is expected to cost the Royal Insurance Corporation of Bhutan roughly around 10 million nutum. According to the Department of Disaster Management, about 989 infrastructures were damaged. Compiled for Ishwari Gurung, Taralimbu for BBS News.
In the ongoing case of Lhaga Kap, 2 among the 4 witnesses who were members of the Dzongkhak Tender Committee submitted conflicting statements to the Anti-Corruption Commission and the Ha Dzongkhak Court.
The 2, Work Supervisor Lhab Doji and Project Manager Wangchuk Tsering, submitted to the court that they were not aware of the Tender Committee's decision to retender the works to LD Sawmill. However, in their statement to the Anti-Corruption Commission in the past, they had acknowledged that they had decided to retender the work. The other 2, Project Engineer Tashi Gelson and Dzongkhak Engineer Lhapchu, submitted to the court that the Dan Ha Dzongda, who is the current Foreign Minister Rinzin Dorji, had made an official remark for the work to be retendered. Tashi Gelson said, although he knew about the Dzongda's official remark, he did not inform the rest of the committee members since LD Sawmill had already appealed to the Dzongda for a negotiation on the rates. The Office of the Attorney General said that this was uncalled for since he was obliged to officially inform the rest of the committee members about the Dzongda's remark. The OAG said that the procedure to retender had been compromised since the other committee members were not informed. Regarding the other charge on the use of Dzongkhak DCM truck to transport timber from Ha to Thimphu, Foreign Minister Rinzin Dorji produced a circular from the Finance Ministry as evidence to the court. According to the circular, a civil servant is allowed to use government vehicle under pressing and emergency need. The minister said it was used under pressing need since vehicles were scarce in Ha and he couldn't find other vehicles to transport his materials. To which the OAG questioned the minister's definition of pressing and emergency needs and whether the circumstances under which the truck was used would qualify as pressing an emergency. The court will have another evidence hearing on 20th April, after which it will be closed and the verdicts spelled out. Nyudup Gelson for BBS News.
Dasho Peljo Doji, popularly known as Dasho Benji, submitted his evidence to the Thimphu Dzongkhak court to prove that all allegations made against Druk Phinsum Sokpa are true. The allegations say that DPT is a corrupted and seditious party that has usurped the royal prerogatives.
Justifying on the allegations made against DPT, Dashubenji's legal representative said DPT is a seditious party for it has created division and animosity among the public by organizing party convention following the general election in 2013. The legal representative also submitted that the party has introduced one or two clauses in the Land Bill of 2012 which highlight replacing the apolitical members of National Land Commission with political members and having the power to grant resettlement land kiddu to the people, which otherwise is prerogative of His Majesty the King only. Education City project and Troa theatre controversies were spelled out by Dashubenji's legal representative to justify that DPT is a corrupted party. He also mentioned of taxes being imposed without following the due procedures during the DPT's term in the governance. Giving license to one of the private firms to supply explosives without due tendering process was also underlined by the legal representative. But DPT clarified that these two issues were never noted in the earlier rebuttals of Dashubenji. The next hearing is on the 23rd of this month and DPT will submit its rebuttal on the evidences submitted by Dashubenji today. Compiled for Pemal Hadin, Tara Limbu for BBS News.
The Royal Audit Authority issued a total of 14 audit memos amounting to over 7 million Giltram to the Ministry of Information and Communications. The Royal Audit Authority found some fraudulent practices while reviewing the account and operations of the ministry from July 2011 to June 2014. The RAA's findings revealed misuse of government money through violation of financial norms, non-accounting or short accounting for non-revenue receipts received, charging of fictitious expenditures and improper documentation of accounting records. 10 memos were issued to the Ministry's Secretariat amounting to 4.43 million Giltram, while 4 memos were issued to the Department of Information and Media amounting to over 2 million Giltram. Meanwhile, the Minister of Information and Communications said they won't be able to comment on the case since the ministry is yet to conduct meeting with auditors. The local leaders in Lindsay are not happy with the Dzongkhag Tsogdu held recently on a short notice. Some of the Gyeoks could not prepare any agenda for discussion.
They expressed dissatisfaction with the decision and indirectly blamed the Zongda and the chairperson of the Dzongkhag Tsogdu since it confused everyone. Initially, the session were fixed on Monday and Tuesday. There was a sudden change after an order from the Dzongkhag administration when some Gyeoks were planning to hold Gyeok Tsogdi.
We couldn't gather people's views since we didn't get enough time. This is the reason why I don't even have a single agenda for the meeting. We just have 2 sessions in a year, and if we fail to collect public views, it would be difficult to solve problems in the Gyeok.
We have Gyeok Tsogde and preliminary meetings in the past before Dzongkhag Tsogdu. This time, I am not sure why it has happened like that.
I have a few important matters to be discussed, but couldn't do that. If we do not have opportunities to discuss, then I think such session will be ineffective, although I have great respect and trust for the Dzongkhag Tsogdu.
To be honest, I think Zongda and Trizin do not seem to have good personal relationship. We were confused when we received 2 different orders.
Some of the local leaders knew about the meeting only that day.
I was also surprised with the dates of our Dzongkhag Tsogdu. I did not know about it. On the other hand, the planning officer told me that we have to endorse the annual budget by 5th April with approval from the meeting, and 3rd April was the appropriate date before the weekend. The main reason to conduct the meeting is to endorse the budget before 5th April, and the chairman is aware of it. We discussed with the chairman and sent the order.
But the chairperson said otherwise.
As you all said, I am bestowed upon with trust and confidence despite my capability. According to my responsibility, I have done my part. I even confirmed the dates and Zakar on 6th and 7th. Zongda didn't tell me 3rd April would be the final date for the meeting.
But all in all, the budget was endorsed at the meeting. Compiled for Kinkatashi in Mongar, Pemal Hadan, PBS News.
Shortage of engineers continues to hamper developmental activities in the Gyeoks and Samsi, as majority of works at the local government requires supervision and technological expertise. Local leaders are concerned about the progress and quality of works in the Gyeoks. The local leaders at the 6th Zongkak Tsogdu raised their concerns over the lack of engineers. They said, in absence of engineers, there is a little development in the Gyeoks.
We are required to deliver services to the people, but we are helpless due to unavailability of engineers. Since engineers are mostly based in Zongkak, sometimes they don't make it on time to visit these sites.
Most of the Gyeok activities are dependent on engineering services. According to the Local Government Act, each Gyeok should have an engineer. Since there is a lack of engineers, Gyeoks take turns to get their services.
About 70% of developmental activities at the local government require the services of engineers. Besides, the local leaders said inefficient and non-performing works at the Gyeoks are increasingly becoming a major hurdle to them.
It is proving to be very difficult for us. For instance, if the works do not complete on time or there are some discrepancies, the audit memo at the end is issued in our names, when the whole reason is because of shortage of engineers.
Another reason they pointed out was the inexperienced engineers who are not able to monitor and supervise works. The Zongkak engineer sector, however, said the main problem they have at the moment is lack of engineers in certain fields or expertise and not the shortage. In the meantime, Gyeoks will be evaluated on the dire need of engineers and would be given the priority hereafter. Compiled for Sonam Hunzo, Sonam Mongdi for PBS News. Bhutan jumped 46 places from the foot of the FIFA rankings to 163 after recording Bhutan's first ever World Cup pre-qualifying victories. Bhutan defeated Sri Lanka 1-0 in Colombo and 2-1 in Thimphu to advance to the second round of Asian pre-qualifying match for the 2018 FIFA World Cup in Russia. According to the April edition of the FIFA Coca-Cola World Ranking, Bhutan has made biggest move by ranks. Bhutan was at the 209th out of 209 national teams. The next FIFA Coca-Cola World Ranking will be published on the 7th of May this year. Well, that's all we have for you this week. Thank you for joining us. This is Sonam Wongdi saying goodbye.